of the Sri Lanka Navy and is the 18th naval officer to reach the helm in the 61-year history of the glorious naval service. Assumed office September 2012. Vice Admiral Colombage served as a commander Eastern Naval Area at the historic naval dockyard in Tricopoli until he was chosen to steer the Sri Lanka Navy. He has achieved many firsts in his distinguished, decorative and unblemished naval career spanning 34 years. He has been conferred with 2 master's degrees. Presently, Vice Admiral Colombage is reading for his doctorate in philosophy at the AU. So congratulations and hope you will finish it soon. This is also the fruit of peace. I can't even imagine my good friend, Defense Secretary, allowing many of the commanders to go in academic pursuits. We had all sorts of conflicts in this country. So once again, you are the architect of all this and you are reaping the benefits because they are studying more. Vice Admiral Colombage is an expert in maritime security. He has presented scores of papers on maritime terrorism and related subjects in Sri Lanka as well as at international fora. He has been certified by the International Maritime Organization as a lecturer in international conventions on port and ship security. He is a distinguished alumnus of the Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, India, Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies, Hawaii, in the United States of America, and the Royal College of Defense Studies in the United Kingdom. He is also a fellow of the Nautical Institute of the United Kingdom and currently the chairman of the Sri Lanka branch. Holds diplomas in security studies, conflict resolution, international affairs, and information technology. Vice Admiral Colombage is a recipient of the Ranasuda Padakam for Gallantry and many other service medals. In addition, he is the most commended naval officer and recipient of the prestigious 5-star commendation badge. His presentation today is on Vision to Mission, transforming yield from hub status. Vice Admiral Colombage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chair, Secretary of Defense and Urban Development, distinguished invitees. I have a good news for you. At the end of my lecture, I will invite all of you for lunch. So it's a great honor for me to be here this beautiful day talking about a very pertinent subject, Sri Lanka as a hub in Asia, the way forward. When I was preparing for my paper, I was trying to find some quotations to start as the preamble. I came across something which was said by one of our great king Parakrama Bahu, but hundreds of years ago. He said, not even a drop of water falling down from the sky must flow into the sea without being used. He not only limited his vision to the words, he built dams, irrigation systems, tanks, he built ships, traded with neighboring countries, sometimes even interfered with politics of neighboring countries. But then, after that, I came across a dark wall. I couldn't find another suitable quotation until I hit the jackpot in the Mahinda Chintanaya, the Vision for the Future 2010. And I have extracted from the Mahinda Chintanaya main statement what I am going to talk to you about, that is about the maritime power or the maritime hub. In the Mahinda Chintanaya, this is the vision statement of our country, vision statement of His Excellency the President. He says, my determination is to transform Sri Lanka to be the pearl of the Asian Silk Route once again. Here I have the determination and the vision to be what? The pearl of the Asian Silk Route. We don't really call this the Asian Silk Route now, but it is the same Asian Silk Route we are still using. The route has not changed, but the ships have changed. Taking advantage of its unique geographical location, we have heard quite a lot about the uniqueness of the Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean. I will develop our motherland as a naval hub, serving as a key link between East and West. So this vision statement is what I am going to talk about, or what my entire presentation will be based on. Now, in order to support this, I show you another diagram. This clearly indicates the Silk Route. Now, in this Silk Route, we played a very key role and our port in Mena, called the Great Port or the Mahatirtha, played the key role in the Sri Lankan context in the ancient Silk Road. And the next slide I am going to show is what the journeys undertaken by the famous Chinese Admiral Cheng He. Out of 7 expeditions he has undertaken in the Indian Ocean, 3 times he had visited Sri Lanka. And this is not what I tell, but these are stone inscriptions in Galle and in Nanjing Museum speak volumes about his voyages. Now also, this is what we really want to be, like any other continent, like any other ocean. We want to be the hub of the Indian Ocean. I also quote Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and I have taken this quote from the Indian Maritime Doctrine. Now there he talked about, to be secure on land, we must be supreme at sea. And Sri Lanka paid dearly for not doing just this. We were not paying sufficient attention since independence to defend our sea borders, and we paid dearly, nearly 3 decades, because we didn't do our task properly. So with this, I will come to my argument, and in order to explain to you how we achieve from vision to mission, I have taken an example or a definition to be a maritime power. Now, to be a maritime power, the ability of a nation to use seas to safeguard and progress its national interests. So this is the definition of a maritime power. That is basically the ability of a nation to safeguard the sea and use it to achieve national interests. What are our national interests? To be the wonder of Asia through the 5 hubs that we have been listening to this in the morning. In achieving this maritime status or the hub status or maritime power, we have about 12 or 13 enablers. And the first enabler is the geography. So we heard quite a lot about the geographical location or the advantage of the country in the Indian Ocean, and we have access to sea. Can you imagine how lucky to be an island and not really part of a mainland, because we have a continuous navigable channel. Now please look at India, such a big country with large coastline. Unfortunately, they have this tiny little island in the south, so they don't have a continuous navigable channel around their country. Of course, in the north they have the Himalayas and other countries, but in south they have Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka, we have almost continuous navigable channel around our country, except a small area in the Gulf of Mena. And also, we were located right across the trade winds in the history. Now we are located right close to the busiest shipping lane in the world. And the next enabler is the maritime affinity of people and the leader. So here I like to ask a question. Are we a maritime nation? Well, we can debate quite a lot, but we are not yet a maritime nation. We are hoping to be. But then let me ask you the question. Were we not a maritime nation long time ago? Our history tells us we were indeed a great maritime nation. We were building ships. We were dealing in trade. We were sending delegations to the court of Rome and to the suit of Egypt. And we were bringing in elephants from Myanmar. We were involved in trade disputes with Myanmar and South India. So we were a maritime power. But then how did we lose this maritime power? It is, I believe, the colonial invasions actually diminished our maritime tradition. We could not sustain the capability, the technology, the know-how, because the colonial invasions, basically they invaded the coastal provinces and we lost the maritime affinity. But now we have a leader, we have a vision, and we have the affinity of a vision to be a maritime hub. Another enabler is the size of seafaring population. Now here I have taken an example of Philippines, a country which is very famous for seafarers in comparison to Sri Lanka. Now they have earned more than $5 billion in the year 2011 by employing more than 250,000 seafarers world across. In Sri Lankan case, we have only 7,000 seafarers sailing in the world. So this is one area if we want to be a real maritime power and a maritime hub, we have to pay much more attention to. Another enabler is the fishing, the size of the fishing fleet. We are quite good at inland waters and coastal water fishing, but we are not yet good at EEZ or the long distance fishing. So we need to develop the technology, we need to use the scientific knowledge to catch the fish in a sustainable manner. Then of course we have the huge issue of poaching. Certain foreign fishing trawlers are plundering our wealth and destroying our marine ecosystem. So we have a problem there. Another enabler is the offshore commercial activities, exploration for hydrocarbons, gas and oil or any other mineral. We are on the track. And then providing services to the ships which are calling in our ports. And then OPL means outer port limit. There are ships which are not really coming into our port, but we have to provide excellent service for them if we want to be a maritime hub. And also onboard security teams. Now this is, we believe, our contribution to the safety of the sea lanes of communication to curb the menace of terrorism, so curb the menace of piracy. I think we have the best model of private-public partnership, and we have become the largest provider of maritime security personnel to the entire world fleet right now. Now this is what we are doing with the exploration of hydrocarbons. And also another enabler is the naval and coast guard forces. I am proud to say, as the commander of the Navy, we have a victorious Navy. Our Navy has evolved through 3 decades of war by defeating the most ruthless guerrilla organization in the world, which had an international maritime capability and a de facto navy called the Sea Tigers. So we are ready, we are geared to render our service to the defense of the motherland. And of course, there is one area that we are focusing now. We need to improve the deep sea or the EEZ surveillance. And I must emphasize, whatever the money you spend developing a big navy right now can be considered as an investment to the future. We will pay back. And also the shipbuilding capability is another enabler. If we want to be a maritime power, we have our Colombo Dockyard Limited with limited shipbuilding capabilities. But if you look at our history, we were a great shipbuilding industry. The historical evidence suggests that ships from Oman and Yemen came here to obtain items necessary for their shipping. And also we had orders to provide 10 ships per year to Oman. The Chinese inscriptions talk about the big ships built in Ceylon coming to China. So we had all the essential ingredients for shipbuilding at that time, the timber, and which could be flown down the rivers to various bays and anchorages. Now these are the items used for ships construction: the coconut tree for the mast, coconut fiber for the cushioning and planking, coconut rope for the rigging, and coconut oil for the lubricant. Can you get anything better than this to build ships? Those days, not now. So this is a picture of a Yatra Doni taken in one of the coast in Ceylon. And this is a map drawn by the Arab traders. Now here the indication is they have marked only the coastal areas. Why? Because that was the only interest for them at that time. Then another enabler, and this is one area we are doing extremely well, that is having major and minor ports. Now Sri Lanka is blessed with deep water, and we have ports all around our country. We have the port of Colombo as the commercial hub or the container hub, and we have the Galle Harbour as a tourist hub, and we have the Hambantota Harbour as a service and industrial hub, and then we have the Oluville Harbour for economic revival of the eastern province. Then we have the Kankasanture Harbour for economic activities of the northern province. Then we have the Trincomalee Harbour, still unexploited to its highest potential. It is 5 times or 10 times bigger than the port of Colombo, with an average depth of 23 meters. Admiral Lord Nelson said, Trincomalee is the finest harbour in the world, which is yet to be exploited to its full potential. But we have done extremely well in developing our harbour. Now this is the Colombo South Expansion Project. If you look at the size of the previous harbour, you will see the magnitude of the new harbour. And they say it took 37 years to to build the old harbor, the 2.2 kilometers of breakwater, and we have taken only 4 years to build 6.8 kilometers of breakwater. So you can imagine the gigantic harbor that we have, or we are really blessed with. And believe it or not, this is the only harbor which can cater to mega container ships in the whole of South Asia. Now this was this month, 5th of August, a proud moment for our entire region. First time ever a mega container vessel berthed in our region. This is in Port of Colombo. Now this ship, I will explain to you the size. The biggest ship in the world today is called the EEE, which is only 2 ships are there. But the second biggest one is the new Panamax. That was the ship which entered Port of Colombo carrying more than 11,820 equivalent units or the containers. And then another enabler in order to be a maritime power is our merchant fleet. Now here we have a problem. Although we are an island nation, we don't have sufficient vessels registered in Sri Lankan name or Sri Lankan flag. And Mongolia, on the other hand, 57 ships. They don't even have a harbor. So there is a problem. Now trade, I must say, we are basically carrying out as a hub port, transshipping other people's cargo. We don't have our own industrialized capacity to engage in trade. So therefore, although we had our development in the history, we need to develop that. And also, it is very important we develop our hydrographic and scientific capability. We cannot depend on other people to do the research because we are not sure how they will use the data. So we need to develop our own capability. And also, the geopolitics is considering as another enabler. We are very lucky. Everyone is concentrating on the Indian Ocean, and the flow of energy and the goods are through the Indian Ocean heavily. And we have warm waters. Indian Ocean is the only warm water ocean in the whole world. And there is abundance of resources. And also, emerging or already economic giants are either in or very near the Indian Ocean. All this help us to be the maritime hub. Now, if you have read the book written by Robert Kaplan, The Monsoon, he talks about the importance of the Indian Ocean. He is writing this book from the American point of view. He says the American foreign policy must concentrate if the United States is to remain relevant in an ever-changing world. Don't bother reading the whole thing. I just wanted to show you the importance of the Indian Ocean. Now, with this, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. Since independence, I would say this is the first time we have a visionary outlook towards the ocean. And we have many advantages in achieving that, a healthy GDP rate and healthy climate for foreign direct investment and international seaports and also international airports. And we have a large workforce ready to work, and we have rapid infrastructure development programs underway. And also the global standing. Every year we are improving our global standing, which is making a very conducive environment for development. And also we have one of the best social indexes in the South Asia. In many aspects we are doing extremely well. And we are a non-aligned country. Yesterday when I was having a chat with a South African trade delegation, they said if something is happening in Sri Lanka, everybody will come because we are non-aligned, we are free, anyone would like to come to Sri Lanka. So we have the advantage of that as well. And we heard enough about the geostrategic location. And we have a conducive environment, we have peace and stability, and we have leadership and democracy, and we have a clear vision. So these are clear enablers to be a maritime power, to be a maritime hub in the Asia. So therefore, let us all get together and make this vision a reality and make Sri Lanka the maritime hub of Asia. So with this, I come to the conclusion, and soon we will invite you for lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.